Hey everybody, 12 minutes late today. I figured with all the bloodbath and stuff going on that everybody needed a few minutes, so I gave you 12. What a nice guy I am. Welcome. This is called an AMA. I'm Kevin Murcko, CEO here at Coinmetroids. Says that at the bottom of the screen. So hopefully you can see that, and hopefully you can read it. Hoping you can read. And it's been one of those weeks, days, last 72 hours, I'm sure has been insightful for some, disastrous for others. I don't know. There's a lot of adjectives and adverbs and all kinds of things we use to describe this, but this is an AMA, so you're going to ask questions and I'm going to answer them. And I got a hello from Chris. Hey, Chris. I know I'm a bit late, so I'm going to have to wait for a minute or so for questions to start to roll in. Sometimes I have a cheat sheet. Don't have one of those today. But I'm going to sign some documents while I'm sitting here with you as I wait for questions to come in. How you like that? You can watch me sign documents. Hopefully you have like an 8K television, because without 8K, watching Kevin sign documents is probably not that exciting. When Tram 2.0, DNA staking and increased XCM burn. Nice one, ironically. Ironically. See, I didn't get that at first till I read it. That was pretty good. Ironically. The ironic thing would be if that was actually your name, that would be quite ironic. Ironically. Excuse me a second while I put the John Hancock on these documents that I haven't read. That's how you do business. You sign documents you don't read. Just a tip, pro tip. Okay, so Tram 2.0 in design. Still, I think believe still currently in design, but it is either number 2 or number 3, I think, on the current priority list. In terms of pushing it towards development. Though obviously, when market things happen like they've happened the past couple of days, sometimes that list gets adjusted, but at least last time I saw it before Bloody Luna Tuesday or whatever we're going to call it in the books, that's where it was. DNA staking, haven't had a chat about DNA staking. Unfortunately, larger fish to fry, to be quite honest, recently. But I will have a conversation about it. Obviously, UST is going to be removed from staking, I imagine. But, you never know. I would say the great thing about markets and open markets and free markets is that they're free, meaning that they're free to do what they want, and you really never know what can happen. So we'll have to wait and see. Increased XCM burn. Well, I expect that. We have upcoming campaigns that are going to include a lot, almost like weekly updates, and during that time, we're definitely going to hear about some additions to tokenomics as promised, which will include more XCM burning by way of fees on the platforms we operate. So stay tuned for that. Good morning. Good morning. Juan, any news on the share transfer agreement being worked on? So there's not really a way. We thought there was going to be a way to kind of automate most of that process. Unfortunately, there's only a way to automate one step of it. The rest of it is not automated. And so we have 2 or 3 people actually working on it, one in legal and then 2 others in different places in the business to make sure that we get those things out. They will get out. The good thing is that in the MOU, we did promise a share transfer agreement within 30 days. Well, we're late on that. But we also said that it would take 90 days to get the shares actually transferred after we had the share transfer agreement. We're going to do our best to make sure that we shave off a good portion of those 90 days. So hopefully the whole time period, i.e. 120 days, is going to be hopefully not just met, but will be early. How are CM monthly revenues lately? Still trending higher? Well, they were trending higher in Q4, then Q1 happened. And I think I told this story, but when I was in Miami for Bitcoin 2022, I had a lot of stories about Bitcoin 22, but we'd have to share those like over a strong drink together at the €1 party, because I'm not really going to that in a public forum. But we were trending higher. Q1 happened. Basically in Q1, almost every property had a 30, meaning property, meaning company, meaning crypto exchanges or similar businesses, staking businesses, etc., saw a 30 to 60% decrease across different metrics, whether that be revenues, volumes, profitability, etc. And I'm including all the big boys as well. In fact, I overheard I was in conversations with someone from Bitstamp, and also overheard conversations from eToro and a few other players in the market with roughly similar numbers, not necessarily on all aspects of their business, but definitely on some, and on the majority of them, to be honest. So the market itself has seen a pullback. So the market has seen a pullback. You saw Coinbase's numbers, right? Coinbase's Q1 numbers, I think, were released just a few days ago. They were way under expectation, and that caused Coinbase shares, coin, to plummet. Well, plummet in traditional market terms, not plummet in crypto terms. They didn't go down 99.99999% 4 days in a row, but they did crash pretty hard in terms of traditional terms. So we have seen, in fact, in the last 3 weeks, the last 2 weeks, the first uptick that we have seen since, I believe, in the beginning of Q1, there was a week-to-week or a bi-weekly uptick, but then it was all kind of either flat or slightly going downward. We've seen the first uptick. So obviously lots of volume around Luna and UST, and well, the market in general, to be honest. And crypto's not the only market that's bleeding. Equities, bonds, lots of blood on the streets everywhere. Good day, Jens. Nice to see you. Sound could be a little bit better. Oh, well, I should always check the sound check before I get halfway into the show. That's a mental note for me. Seems like the video could be better right now, too. It just went completely unfocused. Let's see if we can get that bad way back in focus. That kind of worked. Okay. Let me know if it sound has issues. Let's see what we can do. Let me check my settings. I think I know why. That should fix the sound issues. So sorry about that. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. Hopefully you caught, every other word at least. What is going on regarding CMUI? What kind of updates and changes being worked on? So there's constant update. I mean, there's always been relatively constant updates to our user interface. Right now, there's a lot of different changes happening from the dashboard level, mobile level, etc. You're going to see a mobile update at some point in the near future, which is going to be a completely different way to navigate through most of our ecosystem, giving you more information, a little more agility with your thumbs. So when you're navigating on big screens, you're able to get stuff, find stuff quicker. You're also going to see updates to just our web dashboard as well when you're on your laptop or some other larger screen device. So there are many things. I'm not going to give away too much. You can always poke and prod Oliver on Telegram for some screenshots or something. Maybe he'll abide. But definitely updates are in the making. Comments about the Luna fiasco. Here we go. I was waiting on this one. Starting to seem like it was flawed from day one, but Do Kwon was too arrogant to address the issue, or more malicious reasons. Okay, so first I'll address the malicious side and the rumor that BlackRock and Citadel somehow got together and decided, let's break every rule in the book. Let's make sure we do it public enough so they can trace our movements, because that should be fine because it's an unregulated market. That is about the biggest load of horse shit I think I've ever read online. Now, reason being is that fraud is fraud. So just because you commit fraud in an unregulated market doesn't mean it's not fraud. Like, hey, I know I told you that this is what was happening, but we did this anyway. But it's unregulated, so we're cool. It doesn't work that way. So I do think, though, that inherently speaking, you say it was flawed from the beginning. Yes, I mean, anything that breaks, you can say was flawed from the beginning, right? If you drive your car for 400,000 kilometers and on the 401,000th kilometer, the axle cracks in half, and not necessarily from use, you can say, well, that was flawed from the beginning. So yes, it was flawed from the beginning. I think one of the biggest flaws, I was never really a Luna or UST supporter. I own 30 Luna. I did try to catch a falling knife. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I figured, hey, I'll take a gamble. I threw some money at it. It's not life-changing money to me. So, I still came to work the next day. I didn't jump out a window or anything. But it's, I own 30 Luna for the whole, I think I bought it at like 2 or 3 euros. And it was just sitting in an account that I used to test our platform with, and never bought any more. The idea that an asset can pay 20%, meaning IST, based simply on the fact that if it depegs, we're just going to print more of this other risk asset, doesn't make any sense. Because as you print more of the risk asset, what happens? You devalue it. And then you need more and more people to buy it in order to reach the same value. It doesn't make any sense at all. The move into Bitcoin was interesting. I think they may have spotted one of those flaws before they started buying Bitcoin. The problem was buying Bitcoin didn't actually relieve the flaw.
One way I think they could, what they could have done, hindsight being 2020. I don't want to be a backseat driver here. I hate when people do this shit, but I'm going to do it anyway because you asked. What potentially they could have done or should have done is just had variable interest rates. In most situations, whether you're talking about central banks, Fed banks, or just whatever funds in general, if price goes up, interest rate goes down. If price goes down, interest rate goes up. Right? Imagine if the peg was broken only by a few percent and the interest rate went up 8 or 9%. So instead of 19%, it's 27 or 28 now. That probably would have induced more people to buy UST. It may have slowed down or even stopped the general run on the bank. What happened? Because it just continued. Because why? No, people stopped buying Luna, obviously, because now they see that UST is depegging. And what does that do? Well, that creates less reserve. They then have to loan out the Bitcoin to get more reserve. Once that news comes out, there's a trust issue. People start selling more UST, and eventually, well, we are where we are now. They printed a quadrillion Luna, which is now worth, less than air, literally. And now that's it. It's not even worth. Air is pretty valuable. I guess if we didn't have any air, we'd all die. So it's definitely less valuable than air or dirt or shit. Even it's pretty much. Shitcoin is actually, if you think about it, shit's a pretty big business. Fertilizer actually costs a lot of money. So shitcoins is probably not the best term you can use for something you think has no value. But I don't think it was malicious. On Terra's side, I wouldn't call it a Ponzi. I think that doesn't fall into that definition. It falls into a flawed system that people trusted too much. And, I'm going to make 20%. Let me put my entire life savings into it. And I'm never going to work again, thinking that somehow Do Kwon was going to do all the work for you. And, generally in life, life doesn't ever play out that way usually. So my comments is that, I gambled a bit. I lost, oh, well. A lot of people, I think, gambled too much, and it hurts. I think I've been there before. I've definitely been in times where I was trading and risked too much. I think through the process of becoming a more mature investor or trader, everybody goes through that process. What makes it worse is you have assholes on Twitter that'll go, "I've been shorting since 106," which they're probably full of shit, to be honest. But they're going to tell you that they've been shorting since whenever, so you feel more like an asshole, which is never nice. So anyway, yeah, I don't think it was malicious. I do think it was flawed. I think those potential points of failure were pointed out to the team on multiple occasions. But yes, there was definitely an air of arrogance. You can go back through tweets now, hindsight being 2020, and see that pretty easily. You probably saw it in real time anyway. But this is crypto, man. How many of these cases have we seen? This is probably one of the worst in terms of the amount of capital that was wiped off the board. But it's not much different than many others that we've seen. And unfortunately, it's not going to be the last time we see things like this. So that's why the old do your own due diligence, don't risk more than you can lose. Just because something says it's stable. If I make something tomorrow and call it, the stable forehead token, that doesn't mean the forehead's not going to get bigger. You get what I'm saying? Boom. Okay, so sound has issues. Yeah, I think I solved those. Hopefully, maybe. I know I was 12 minutes late, so I'm going to give you guys another 20 minutes here. I'm trying to cut these shows to half an hour. It gets difficult, especially around times like this. But I'm flying to Dubai later today. Meetings next week with the regulators and stuff. So I haven't packed yet. Not that, I need to pack much, but anyway. When the June renewal comes around for the majority of XCM staking plans, we have the option to stake for longer than 1 year for more interest. We'll see them increase the XCM staking limit this year. I wouldn't expect higher interest on XCM yet. It is a goal, and it also is a goal for us to remove that limit. But we can only do that. We don't want to create a UST fiasco like fiasco with XCM. We don't want to pay interest we can't afford to pay, or interest that affects other pieces of the business, which eventually mean that XCM's value falls. Would you rather make 4% a year on an asset that generally retains value, or make 20% a year on an asset that loses 99% of its value? I'm sure the answer to that is pretty straightforward. So that is a goal of ours, but we need the mechanics by way to do that. And it is something that is of relatively constant discussion, and we are working towards that goal. Do you have any Irish funds that have a helicopter? That's a pretty specific ask. I'm stuck on Tory Island because of a storm, but have a meeting on Sunday. I'll tip him with some XCM. Right on. I have some Irish friends. I don't believe any of them have a helicopter. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if I have any friends that have a helicopter. I have friends with access to helicopters, but don't actually own one. I don't know. Is there a service? There's a service in the U.S. called what? Blade, I think it's called, on the East Coast mainly. And there might be on the West Coast as well, but you can go between like Manhattan and New York airports, or you can go between like the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area and those airports. Maybe there's something like that between, around the UK. I don't know. I've never had to take a helicopter in the UK. So yeah, sorry, can't help you there. But good luck. If you find one though, let me know, please. Leading investment experts from banks. I don't know if that caveat was made so that we can all snicker a little bit, or to affirm that they're actually experts, have commented in the Danish news that current crypto market drops are the beginning of the end of crypto. What would you say to them? Well, I would say let's go back to every other time leading investment experts from banks have said that crypto is over with. It's funny that one of the reasons I've mentioned this before, one of the reasons that I got into crypto was because I felt there was some form, even between competition, a camaraderie, meaning that everybody in this business, even if they were here for the wrong reasons, only wanted the market cap and the businesses to expand for their own benefit. Even if it was selfish, they were kind of benevolent in their selfishness, right? Like they wanted everybody to do well so they could do much better. And it's crazy to think that someone who is a leading investment expert, which sounds like a LinkedIn title that I would literally delete from I would not accept if they asked to be connected to me, from banks, who obviously haven't done well historically, meaning haven't done well for their clients historically, especially in the last 10 years or so. Lots of scandals at the retail banking level. Don't try and kind of help the market succeed, knowing that at the end of the day, they just need to take a share of that market to maintain as banks, meaning, if they fight and fight and fight, they end up losing. If they just join along and pick up, pieces of what's going on in crypto, then they continue to win and they continue to control the market, which is probably inevitably what's going to happen anyway. But so, market crashes happen in crypto and have happened many times. This might be our 9th, 10th. Well, with Bitcoin, we haven't seen the historic 83, 85, whatever it is, 86% correction. But obviously on altcoins, we have seen 90+% corrections multiple times. I'm not sure on altcoins what we're up to now, but it's definitely been more than once, twice, 3 or 4 times. And what's happened every time is that the market has come back. These corrections are violent because the moves upwards are violent. The NASDAQ generally doesn't go up 50% in one day. And that's why when it crashes, it goes down by 4% and someone goes, this is a terrible day in the markets. If crypto goes down by 4%, I don't think anybody even checks their portfolio. They're like, 4%, what's that? If it goes down 40, then they're like, oh, maybe this is a correction. And so this is normal in this market, fueled by retail money, fueled by FOMO, fueled by hype. This is an absolute normality. This is normal. I've suspected, and I still suspect, that we're going to see on average lower correction percentages moving forward. I haven't done the math yet. Obviously, if we include Luna into this one, maybe I should have said the mean and not the average. If we include Luna, forget it. I don't even know how you can calculate. 99.9 infinity would be the correction. That's probably not a correction for Luna, but would be the fall. But the mean, I think we are less than the last time we saw a major correction in altcoins across the board. And the reason for that is there's just more non-retail money, but there still is a lot of retail money, majorly, I would say. So I would say that they can say whatever they want. This is a market fueled by, in many ways, lots of passion. And sometimes that passion is almost hatred. Like it's a love and hate relationship with the market, but there's a lot of passion here. There's a lot of money in this market. And some of those leading investment experts, friends and colleagues are part of the people pushing not only brain power, but also money into this market. And when there's money to be lost, people generally try to salvage. So today doesn't change my view of crypto between today, a week ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't think anybody in this market that's been in it long enough to understand how it works has changed their philosophy on what this market is, how it operates, and where it's headed. All right. What was your average buy price for Credo, Flux, KDA, PRQ, and did you sell any in the last half a year? So Credo 180. I don't know if that's the average, but I actually haven't bought any on the dip yet. So 180. KDA under 30 cents. PRQ half a cent. Have I sold any in the last half a year? No. Flux. I got in Flux a bit late. I mean, comparatively speaking. So I think it was something around 40 to 60 cents. I'm not sure on that one, to be honest, but I don't own that much Flux. I think I own about 40,000 of it, something like that. So not a massive bag by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, Credo 180, KDA under 30 cents, PRQ half a cent. I think I fixed the audio. I hope. Hey, Kevin, your microphone doesn't sound clear. Yeah. I think I got it. It should be. Let me scroll down and make sure people said that my audio is better. Yeah, I think somebody said it was. Okay. Can Luna case cause trouble to Coinmetro if stables get a hard regulation? No. As you know, we haven't been the most supportive of stable coins in Coinmetro's history. We just started with USDC literally probably about a year ago. UST was a very recent addition. No, it wouldn't cause any troubles for us whatsoever. We are very much insulated from that. Good morning, Kevin. Do you think Coinbase basically saying out loud that users' funds aren't actually their funds if they're in Coinbase wallets will lead to haphazard legislation? No. Understand that there is no federal. So if you even if you look at go to any FX broker in the US, read their terms, you're going to find some similar terms. Federal regulation in the US for crypto doesn't exist. So it's basically money service business licensing. We all know that, yeah. In the state of New York, that's a bit different because of the BIT license, who actually does have carve-outs for segregation of client funds when in talking about trading assets. That bankruptcy clause is just required by the SEC because they hold money on behalf of clients, but they also can potentially have creditors. And under normal bankruptcy law, they have to figure out who has first right if there's a bankruptcy. In reality, if there was a bankruptcy, I do not see client money being paid out to like the guy who sends bagels in the morning to Coinbase because Coinbase owes him $43.16 for last Monday's sesame seeds on and cream cheese. So I think people like people normally do in crypto all the time are totally overstepping that little piece of information. And I'm definitely not a massive supporter of Coinbase, but I think people are generally wrong on their assumptions here. Will UST have a repeg? For now, it's UST holders that are getting pegged. So it could. I have read that they are in late stage talks with a fund in Switzerland that manages about 90 billion to potentially throw 2 to 3 billion to collateralize UST as a standard USD collateralization. No algorithmic methodology or anything in the mix. I think that's let's just run through a scenario. I don't know if this is the case. Don't take me verbatim for this, but let's just run through a scenario. You're a fund. You own 3 billion, 5 billion, 2 billion, whatever in UST. UST falls to zero, basically. Then you're like, well, I just lost 5 billion. Or let me contact Terra and tell them, look, how about you change your stablecoin from algorithmic to just traditional? We'll pop 2, 3, 4 billion into a bank account that we'll co-sign on. And we'll say that the UST is now collateralized by a bank deposit. We'll have that bank deposit audited. And now we regain trust in UST. It gets back to the peg. The 5 billion we thought we lost, we haven't lost, and we've put zero money at risk in order to do it. What would you do? Would that be a hard decision to make for you? Do you think you're actually risking those 2 to 3 billion that you might put up to collateralize the asset? Those questions should tell you what potentially could happen to UST and the peg. Luna, on the other hand, whole nother ballgame. Lot more murky future there, if there even is a future, than there is potentially for UST. How much has your personal net worth declined in the crypto crash, peak to trough? 8 figures, something around 8 figures. Are the money in the bank from the recent private round of funding, and how much runway does that give? Most is, some isn't. Some is still earmarked for about 2 to 3 weeks from now, but there's no reason to think it won't come, because it's not coming from the funding investor. The investor is not affected necessarily by the downturn in crypto to the point where it would change their mind, where they would change their mind. So runway it's going to give is based on burn rate currently is between probably over a year, probably somewhere in the realm of 14, 15, 16, maybe upwards of 18 months. Depends. We did have a spike in burn rate in Q1, Q2, but I do expect that from Q3 into Q4, that burn rate's going to go back to where it was maybe not Q3 last year, but only slightly higher, which will definitely could double that burn rate. But in the world of fundraising, you raise money so that you can get to the point where you can raise more money, and I think that's going to get us there nicely. Perfect. Sound great after adjusting. Amazing. Okay, I'm going to take a few more questions, and then we got to call it a day here. Hi, Kevin. I think now is a beautiful time to buy some crypto. Do you think that there is ever a better, stronger competitor to CBDC than Bitcoin? Well, central bank issued digital currencies, depending on why you're going to use them, what kind of utility you're looking for, and Bitcoin, there's no crossover. So Bitcoin doesn't beat CBDCs, and CBDCs don't beat Bitcoin. They're two very different things. So a competitor to CBDC we don't have, because there is no privately held, backed, truly backed, verifiably backed asset that can probably compete with a government issued one. Now, things like Paxos and USDC are probably the healthiest, but still they're not going to compete with one issued by the government. I do think the future is going to be a choice between private and public issued currencies, but we don't really have what I would call a private issued currency yet. USDC is accepted at a decent number of places, especially in crypto, but I still can't go and pay my electric bill with USDC. Thus, it can't really compete with the CBDC, which would automatically be accepted widely. So if you're talking about like store of value, then obviously Bitcoin wins hands down, because a CBDC is just a digital version of a dollar, which we all know, which is built, by the way, when you hear people say the dollar's broken, like the Fed failed in its mission. No, it didn't. No, the dollar is supposed to be inflationary. It's supposed to deflate. Fiat currencies are supposed to deflate by design. So they didn't fail. In fact, they're knocking shit out of the park. Like, they're doing an amazing job at what it's designed to do. So if you're trying to base your kind of discussion based on base your discussion, I don't even know. Sometimes I say shit that I just have to rewind and say, what was that? If you're comparing Bitcoin and CBDCs like an investment vehicle, well then, yeah, the Bitcoin wins. If you're comparing it as a currency, well, Bitcoin isn't a currency, so not really going to win. Not really. It's like apples to oranges, really. Coinbase stock hit an all-time low recently as VCs dump on retail investors. Do you think there is any exchange valuation that is too high or too low relative to others, not Coinmetro? Well, valuations in general are usually too high in many ways. Too low, absolutely. The valuation, I've told this many times, is a game. And if you're good at the game and you're the business owner, then you get a great valuation. That might be too high. If you're bad at the game and the business owner, you get a really bad valuation, which is too low. And generally, no one is perfect at that game. So, yeah, I think there's many properties out there that probably have too low. But from the big boys, I would say valuations of things like KuCoin, for example, 10 billion valuation, 150 million received supposedly. I mean, I don't know, not really verifiable, to be honest. Massively overvalued. Massively overvalued because they haven't done anything foundation-wise to deal with upcoming regulation as far as we know as a public, right? And that's going to be a major issue. Plus, there's rumors abound that they're fractionally reserved. And by some of their actions, it definitely looks that way. Again, I don't know if it's true or not, but I have no information to tell me it's not or it is. And just looking at what they do sometimes kind of tells me they may be on multiple assets. So that'd be one example, I think, of a large overvaluation. Undervaluation, there's probably many more properties. There's a lot of great companies in the world inside of crypto that just aren't valued for what they should be. Kevin, you seem to have gained some weight. Are you okay? Thank you. I appreciate you noting that I've gotten fatter. I have gained weight. Yeah, I'm fine. Probably losing a little bit of sleep here and there, but not necessarily because of the market or anything else. Just kind of have cycles in my life where sometimes I sleep great, sometimes I don't. So kind of just grown to live with it. But yeah, I definitely need to move a bit more, starting to count steps. I feel like an old man every day. I'm like, gotta get my steps in, you know? So working on it. I expect sometime during the summer, you'll see a new Kevin. Kevin, are we in a bear market? My famous line there is define a bear market. I would say in terms of crypto, I wouldn't yet signal bear market. This is definitely a correction and a deep one for some assets. Wouldn't necessarily say bear market yet, though. The year is 2024. Crypto is obsolete. Everyone you sold on your words have filed bankruptcy or robbed. What is your new scam? I don't know. The word scam there sounds a bit ridiculous, but if in 2024 crypto was obsolete, there would be something to take its place, something that hopefully would have the same type of potential that crypto once had. And I would probably follow suit and try to dig in and see if it actually did have or there was some probability that it would kind of do what we all thought crypto would do to the world at large. Any hints on price floor? No hints. No hints. What would happen to the sell orders in XM book below the new floor if the floor is moved? No discussion on price floor today, guys. But, you know, maybe soon. Wink, wink, soon. Everybody loves soon. I like the word soon because nobody knows what that means. That could be like 10 minutes from now. It could be 5 years from now. So I'll just say soon. Maybe we'll discuss it soon. Did you buy, sell short UST? No, but I did buy a bit of Luna. I tried to catch a fallen knife a few times. I was originally going to like day trade in and out of it. And I was actually up at some point, but I was tired and went to sleep. And then when I woke up, you know, my Lambo turned into a bus ticket. So such is life. I didn't lose anything on UST. Didn't own any. Never did. What's your Cadena price floor prediction? Well, right now holding up above what I think €2 fell below. If Bitcoin can maintain above its recent lows, then I think we've seen the low on Cadena. Now there shouldn't be correlation there. I'll throw that out. There absolutely should be no correlation, but there is, because that's how the market works. Are you guys going to get to New York City residents? Huh? I guess you mean, are we going to be able to service New York residents? At some point, sure. I think that's probably going to happen, though, when there's federal licensing. I think the BIT license doesn't make much sense, given the fact that there's a push now to regulate at a federal level. What are you most looking forward to in the Cadena ecosystem, Cadena roadmap? Just the continuing kind of growth of that ecosystem. Just like we saw the growth of the Ethereum ecosystem, I expect to see many similar properties built using Cadena's ecosystem. And I think, not all of them are going to be winners, but there is definitely going to be properties that are built on Cadena that do well, bring more eyeballs to Cadena, bring more users, and show people that there is a possibility to scale a proof of work network without using tremendous amounts of energy, keeping all the great things about proof of work, but also allowing for scalability and low cost. And, like I said, the FOMO behind what I just said will eventually, go far and wide. But doing that, there's ways to do that I would say crypto is very good at that aren't necessary, that would be frowned upon in traditional markets. And I think Cadena has always tried as much as they possibly can to go by a rule set that is more similar to traditional markets. And so I don't see them going down those pathways. So the process to get that kind of understanding of what Cadena is, how it operates, why it's good, why it can be, why it has potential, et cetera, takes a bit more time than those that are willing to kind of sell their soul to the devil, which is, a large minority of the crypto populace. Any comments on UST? All right. So also commented on that already. Is 10 euro XEM still possible in our lifetime? Absolutely. I don't see why 3 days in the markets would make any difference. If you're a bank investment expert and you think 3 days in a market dictate what that market is, then you should take that off your LinkedIn profile and rewrite what it said before, which was used car salesman, because you're not fooling anybody. Will CM still be able to get funds? Absolutely. Absolutely. Smart investors understand that in a business like ours, whether the prices go up or down, doesn't change the fact that we can still have a business that is profitable. So absolutely no change. Okay, audio is good. I'm gonna have to leave it there. I got to save myself at least 10 minutes because I got a few things I got to do before my next speaking engagement, I guess. So thank you everybody for coming. It's been a rough week. I know a lot of people out there are hurting. I know I've seen really stupid fucking tweets that say it's only money. Every time I see that, I want to smack somebody. People that say that, by the way, have no money or have a lot of money. Nobody who lost a ton of money ever goes up on Twitter and goes, it's only money, bro. So it's not just only money, because we all know that money buys stuff that, makes life pretty easy and comfortable. And without it, life can be not so easy and not so comfortable. So just if you did lose a ton, or whether a ton to you, it doesn't matter if it's a ton to somebody else. If you lost enough money that kind of makes you have that little feeling inside that you made a mistake, you didn't make a mistake. In terms of what you did, trading is about losing as well. In fact, you're probably always going to lose more than you win. You just need to manage risk better. So take it as a learning experience. Understand that, life isn't over. You can keep on trucking. Money will come. I mean, money is a thing that comes and goes, and you just need it to come more than it goes. So that's simple as that. So have a good weekend. Don't look at the charts. Walk away. Trust me, there's always going to be a new opportunity. Opportunities are abound in this life. You may think you missed out on one of the, I should have shorted Luna. Yeah, maybe, but I guarantee you there'll be something else you can short tomorrow. So don't worry about it. And have a good weekend. Spend time with friends and family. As you know, when you're talking to friends and family, hopefully you're doing it physically now, unless you hate your family, and then hopefully you're doing it virtually or not at all. I don't know. But even if it's not at all, just scream buy XCM in the middle of your apartment house. If you're living under a bridge at this point because of Luna, scream it in your refrigerator box. Do whatever you got to do. Make sure you get the word out there. We really do appreciate it. I'll see you here next week from Dubai, I guess. Have a great weekend. Thank you for being here. Thanks for the questions. Stay strong, guys. Diamond hands, diamond hands, diamond hands. Unless you bought Luna, then paper hands all the way. And see you guys here next week. Cheers.